Chris, Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14, presented by Stakes, ready to preview what do we got? 5 games involving SEC teams on the night of Wednesday, December 28th. Let's start in order. Tennessee is traveling to Ole Miss. The Vols about 7.5-point favorites. We have talked at length about Tennessee's phenomenal defensive abilities, but its shooting struggles. Ole Miss has disappointed of late, having lost its last time out to North Alabama. We're a little surprised the Vols are only 7.5-point favorites on the road.
No, because this is the rock fight game that we've seen in recent years. What was it, a couple of seasons ago? Wasn't this the 52-50 game in Oxford? And I think Ole Miss is good enough defensively to give Tennessee some issues. And you would expect Ole Miss to bounce back after that North Alabama loss. I think they'll play better here because for the most part they played better at home. And so I think you look at it from that standpoint. I'm not shocked by that. It's the opening of conference play. This is a big game for Ole Miss, as we said in the power rankings. And for Tennessee, I think you still want to see them figure some things out defensively, especially on the road. In a true road environment here, which I think that you kind of look at what they could do offensively here. I may have said defensively, but obviously I'm talking about offensively. So I think Ole Miss is the kind of team that can make you grind a little bit. So spread being what it is, I'm not shocked by that. But I'm going to pick Tennessee to win the game here. I just think defensively, they're playing a team in Ole Miss that has not found its offensive rhythm yet, and that's been a big issue in the games they've lost. And so I think going up against the best defensive team maybe in the country in Tennessee, I feel like that's going to be a uphill climb for the Rebels.
Kentucky goes to Missouri. I'll be honest. I think this is the game more than any I'd like to see, just because we don't know exactly what Missouri is. We've talked about Missouri's defensive struggles. We have seen Missouri have one huge challenge game in Kansas and got run off the floor, then responded by running Illinois off the floor in St. Louis last time out, along with that crazy win over UCF where Missouri banks in a 3 at the buzzer. On top of that, you've got Kentucky. We have had so many questions about UK. We love the team and its talent. We have noted the offensive issues. Missouri cannot defend, but it can score. I think folks will be up for this game. What are we expecting when Kentucky and Missouri play? And by the way, in this one, Kentucky is about, I think, a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of what you're going to get here. The difference to me is I don't think Kentucky's a good offensive team as Kansas was. And so I would be surprised if you see Kentucky come out and just, play as well offensively as Kansas did a few weeks ago. And remember, since then, Missouri's played better defense. They've played better, period, and they've racked up 2 good wins in UCF and Illinois. So I think some people will just use that Kansas game as an example heading into this one. But like I said, I don't think Kentucky's anywhere near as good offensively as Kansas is. So I think that's going to give Missouri a chance here. And I think offensively, as we said for Missouri, I think they're very, very good. And I think this Kentucky team will present some issues, obviously, on the inside with Sheboy and, what they can do with kind of the athleticism and the quickness they have on the perimeter. But, this is a Missouri team that has done a couple things really well. Like they've done a good job of taking care of the ball. They've done a good job of turning people over. And I think that can be a combination against Kentucky that can be a problem for the Cats here. I think this is a tough game because, we've seen Missouri in this setting before getting up for a big home game. Now the Illinois game, a little bit different, but they come out and just blew the doors off Illinois. But I think for Missouri, your second opportunity in Columbia, first one was against Kansas, did not do well. I think they'll be out ready to kind of prove something here that was maybe just kind of a lapse. And like I said, to this point, I mean, even Kentucky fans, a lot would agree that they're just not really need to be offensively. Boy, I think this is a close game unless Missouri plays defense the way they did against Kansas. Even if Kentucky cannot score it as efficiently as Kansas, maybe they can still put up a lot of points if Missouri plays defense like that. But I tend to think Missouri's turning the corner here. But I say all that to say that I'm going to pick Kentucky, but I don't feel great about it because I just think that these teams, that gap may be much closer than we may think, just because Missouri's coming off of 2 really good wins, and Kentucky, I think, is still searching for an identity on offense. So,
By the way, I said Missouri or Kentucky is 6-point favorite. That's a 3-point favorite, both the actual
okay,
line
I
and
was going to
Ken Palm.
say that felt high
Yeah.
to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's on me for not being able to read. Okay, before we get to the next 3 games, a quick shout to our sponsor, Stakes. Predict sports better than the crowd for a chance to win NFTs. With Stakes, players can submit their sports predictions against friends, other fans, and influencers forever. Don't let your sports genius go overlooked. Join Stakes and have the best predictions captured in the moment. Head to playwithstakes.com/14. Use our invite code Southeastern14 for a double welcome bonus. Next up on Wednesday, Florida and Auburn. Auburn got right with just a thumping of Washington. I think that was a 23-point win in Seattle. Florida, we have noted, has not beaten anybody any good yet. Auburn, a 6.5-point favorite. We got some issues with both these teams, but to me, it feels like I trust Auburn more in this spot than Florida, and particularly playing at home.
Yeah, we got more issues with Florida than Auburn.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Auburn here. I think that they are, defensively, Castleton, we know what he can do. But I just don't have a good feel for this Florida team. I mean, they have been the definition of kind of up and down, and against the best teams they played, they've lost all of them. And so I don't feel great about their chances going into a, as we said before, one of the, some people would argue, maybe the best environment in the SEC in terms of home. Um, you know, Auburn Arena gets wild, as we know, especially when
Yeah.
it comes to SEC play, and so I wouldn't expect that to be any different here. And tough atmosphere, and I just don't. Yeah, I mean, Florida's just the kind of team that I just don't have a great feel
Don't
for right
trust them
now.
yet.
And yeah, I mean, there's no reason to. I don't know how you could feel confident about them going in and winning this game unless Auburn offensively just struggles to shoot the ball and turns it over, which has happened before. But yeah, I'm gonna lean on Auburn's defense here and being able to find a way to kind of slow things down for Florida, which they'll want to get up and down the floor. But yeah, I think Auburn's the better choice here if you're just making a pick on this game.
Yeah, Auburn a 6.5-point favorite in that one. Okay, another stylistic matchup we are looking forward to see: Alabama facing Mississippi State. Alabama is about a 1-point favorite in Starkville. State, one of the better defensive teams in the country, but that has trouble shooting. Alabama also terrific defensively, erratic offensively, but Alabama has beaten 2 teams that were ranked number 1 at the time, has played a brutal schedule. State has not. This feels like a spot to me where Alabama gets a road win. What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I would think, but that's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
Alabama will even be the ones to tell you those trips to Starkville have not been kind at times. I think for the Tide. Now, don't get me wrong; they've won some games there, but that just seems like kind of a pesky trip sometimes when you kind of look at when Alabama goes to Starkville to play. And I think, like you said, it's a tale of two strengths, right? It's just I think Alabama can go off at any time offensively with Brandon Miller. Mississippi State has defended so well. They've still only given up 60 points once this season. You know, they gave up 66 in a win against Nicholls State. Everybody else, even in the game they lost to Drake, has scored 59 points or fewer. And I know they haven't played the best schedule, but that's still impressive to me is that they can hold teams to that because they're going to make this. And maybe they are, maybe they won't, but whoever can control the tempo here, Alabama, we know wants to get down the floor, get, quick opportunities. Mississippi State wants to, I don't necessarily say grind this thing to a halt, but they're going to grind it in terms of what Alabama does offensively. That is their goal here is to make this a, lower possession type game. Really, again, really just grind it. Like that's what they're going to try to do with Alabama here. And I think you could see Alabama have some issues with that for a good chunk of this game. But I think at the end of the day, you still feel like that the better team finds a way to win, and I think Alabama's the better team to this point. But it's always tricky, man. I wouldn't be shocked here if this thing goes the other way because I just think that this is one of those start conference play against a team that feels like they've kind of been underappreciated at this point in Mississippi State. And, I don't think they're going to hold Alabama to less than 60 points or anything, but boy, their defense has been good enough to make this very interesting. But I'll pick Alabama here. But like I said, I would not be shocked if this is one of those games that comes down to the wire. But I also wouldn't be shocked if what I said in the power rankings about what if Mississippi State gets into one of these games where they just slip a little bit defensively? Can they be good enough offensively to counter that? Right now, I don't think they can. So
Okay, last one. Arkansas heads to LSU as a 4-point favorite. Before we break that one down, quick shout to our other sponsor, BROTHROW. If you don't like betting 11 to win 10, this is the place for you. You can bet on all 50 states. It's not the house, so bettors have a fair chance of winning. It's the only sports betting platform that doesn't take a cut of every bet. You don't have to deposit money. You don't have to make minimum bets. No need to connect your bank account. Bettors pay each other directly. It's a hassle-free sign-up process that gets you in the action in seconds. Go to BROTHROW, that is BROTHROW.com/SEC. And anyway, you can do all kinds of cool stuff there. Anyway, great partner. We're very happy about having them on board. And go check those guys out if you would, please. Okay, Arkansas heading to LSU. Arkansas already having lost Trayvon Brazile. We've gone over that. Now, Nick Smith is not going to play in this game. LSU has played a cupcake schedule, but come out with just one loss, had a really nice win against Wake Forest on a neutral floor a couple weeks ago. KJ Williams has really carried this team at times. This is a tough one, Blake, because LSU hasn't played a lot, and Arkansas now down 2 key players, although the Razorbacks have been winning at times without both those guys.
yeah, it seems like another tricky spot here for a top team on the road to open up conference play because, like I said, I think LSU not to the same level Mississippi State, but probably feels a little underappreciated with what they've done to this point. And I mentioned, I mean, it's an LSU team that's won a lot of close games, and I would expect this to probably be a pretty close game, just based on how they play and how they'll kind of match up against Arkansas. It's just like we obviously we like to preview a lot of games and we make our picks and stuff, but we kind of make our picks for fun because we clearly can't see the future. We wouldn't be doing this. But I think this is one of those where like you just tend to go with the favorites in the first night of conference play because you just like, okay, here's what we've seen to this point. But you really start to change your opinion on some of these teams after the first couple games. I feel like that's going to be the case with LSU, where I'm going to pick Arkansas to win this one, but I think we really probably reassess our thoughts on LSU after this, first couple weeks, just because, like we said, we talked about the brutal schedule they're going to play up through February, basically, the 1st of February. And this is where I think we really get a good feel. And some teams you can get a good feel in non-conference play. Some teams it takes a little bit longer. I think that's the case with LSU. And I think this will be a good barometer of where they are playing a really good Arkansas team that is just, found a way. They found a way, right? Even without their top players and having to kind of shift lineups around and all that. And I think that's why you lean on Arkansas here is, yes, they're down Nick Smith, they're down Trevin Brazile, but this team has just been pretty resilient at this point, and I think they probably find a way to pull this one out in Baton Rouge.
By the way, that promo code was SE14. I said it was SEC. It's brothrow.com/SE14. Anyway, help out our sponsors, help out our channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. That gets you notifications. If you hit the subscribe button on when we'll be doing plenty of live streams. He's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 14. We'll see you again soon.